very impressed by it because they're thinking it's going to look like one of the pictures I showed you of it complete. And what you have to understand is that the Colosseum has stood for a very long period of time, and that a lot of its construction was built out of marble and granite and very strong materials that had to be quarried from mines. That took a lot of time. It took a lot of labor. And so when the Colosseum became not popular anymore, instead of going someplace else to get the materials, they had their own quarry site right there in Rome. All right, and so they took pieces from the Colosseum to build some churches that I'll mention in a few moments. But yeah, that's why the Colosseum does not look as impressive as it used to, because all you're looking at here is just the concrete outer shell of the Colosseum. You're not actually looking at what it looked like back then. They recreated part of the arena floor to show you just how big it was. And the underneath is really interesting as well. They show you where the cages for the animals would have been and some of those areas at the elevators. And I think they have recreated like a small section of seating. But for the most part, this is all original. And they're not going to restore it to its original condition. They want to keep it the way that it was. You can see up here the outer wall. This section exists. That's the section over here that you can see the sky that fell down in the 1400s. So maybe not as impressive as it was back in the day, but if you can imagine this thing complete, it becomes much more impressive. And one thing I need to mention is, when you're standing on the arena floor, anywhere you stand, you're probably standing on the final resting place of many, many people, and especially many, many animals. Just how many people died? There are lots of estimates. The closest estimates I have found is about 400,000 people and 1 million animals. That's how many people died right here. Okay, so it's hallowed ground. It's in a way, it's a sad place to be. I mean, this is the final resting place of that many souls. So it's important to note that. I think I'd get a little shivers down my spine if I stepped out onto the arena floor. Haven't been yet, but it's a place I want to go to. Like I said, the Romans were horribly barbaric to people, especially early Christians. This isn't a possible thing that could have happened. There's no concrete evidence that we found so far that confirms this, but it wasn't unpopular for Romans to crucify individuals, all right? And so there could have been people who were crucified in the Colosseum. I'm sure there were. There are records, some records, that suggest that Christians were fed to the lions. And so maybe there was a combination of both of them. They also, at times, lit people on fire, even on the crucifix, all right? Nero, that crazy guy, used to take Christians and crucify them and then light them on fire and call them his human candles. As he would stroll around his gardens in his palace, he would call them his human candles that would light the night up for him. So, wow. I mean, again, crazy, just crazy people in Rome. But Nero was a screwball beyond most. So, eventually the Colosseum is going to not be popular anymore. Okay, it's going to fall out of favor. It's unfortunately very expensive to run, and with Christianity coming along, people just aren't finding entertainment in watching people die. As Rome becomes weaker, they don't have as much money to spend on keeping up with the Colosseum, and so eventually it kind of falls into ruin. It's very expensive to upkeep this Colosseum, and so they were focusing on protecting Rome and creating new armies and preventing the city from being destroyed. So the Colosseum, it gets put on the back burner and it falls into ruin. And as Christianity becomes more popular, they disassemble parts of it, like I said, and it's used in the building of churches, especially in popular churches. All right. After around the 6th century itself, 500s, it was completely abandoned. They didn't have any more gladiatorial events. They were long gone. No events really at all. And it starts being stripped of materials. All right. St. Peter's and St. John's Lateran, they're those churches that I mentioned before, that if you go to those churches, the bricks that the churches are made of actually bricks that came from the Colosseum. So kind of cool to think of. About 2/3 of it was destroyed by the 20th century, the 1900s. And that's about the time when they started to preserve it. So what you're looking at in the Colosseum is only 1/3 left of what it originally was. And you have to take that in mind when you're looking at the Colosseum, because most of it, the impressive parts, are gone. Right? They were used someplace else. Today, Italy is managing this and keeping it in a state that people can enjoy it for years to come, and they can go and they can learn about the Colosseum. Again, like I said before, about 400,000 people died in the Colosseum, and about 1 million animals died in the Colosseum. Is there anything else I want to mention? Go back real quick. Go back. Well, it doesn't look like it. Real quickly, let me just double check. Right, so we talked about how the mentality changed, natural disasters. Yeah, that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson today on the Colosseum. It was a unique piece of Roman history, and it's really remembered as being horribly barbaric and brutal. But at the same time, it's famous because a lot of people found enjoyment and entertainment at this location. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you're staying healthy, staying safe. Right, it's getting crazy out there, and I hope to see you guys. I hope to see you guys soon. It might be a little bit of time. So I'll keep trying to do these, and I'll see you when I see you. All right. Until then, take care.